Hello you plonkers and welcome back today to another video on the Drewzy channel. We're back with 9 things we learned from round 12. Unfortunately, there's no Drew footy show this week. I've just got back from Melbourne yesterday. I just simply do not have the time to get out of 9 things we learned and a Drew footy show, so I apologise, but we will be discussing football in today's video. I absolutely loved Melbourne town. It's a great place and I can definitely see myself living there in the future. So that's Melbourne wrapped up. There will be a vlog from my Melbourne trip coming out very shortly, so keep your eyes peeled on the channel as well. I did a video with Cade McDonald over there that will be out on Thursday, a goal kicking challenge, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled out for that. I set the goal to hit 7.5 thousand subscribers by the end of June, and we've got a lot of ground to make up. It's been a little bit slow. I couldn't post as much as I wanted to in the month of May, and 45% of my audience still aren't subscribed to the Drewzy channel. So make sure if you're not subscribed that you do, to avoid me calling you a filthy pig, you filthy pig. Hit subscribe and support the channel. It's absolutely free, and like the video if you enjoy it. Anyhow, let's get into the 9 things I learned from round 12. Number 1, the Dogs have lost it. Whatever made the Dogs good in 2021 has been lost and it has not been found. I've given them the benefit of the doubt this year to find a little bit of form, but I went to the game on Friday night at Marvel Stadium and they are just so disconnected from each line. It is ridiculous. They rely far too much on Bailey Dale and Caleb Daniel to move the ball out of the back half. The rest of their defenders are just absolutely average at just moving the ball by foot and by hand. They're quite panicky down back when the ball goes to ground level. I don't know, they're just sort of like lockdown, stock standard defenders. They're nothing special outside of Caleb Daniel and Bailey Dale. When they move the ball through the middle of the ground, they rely far too much on Bailey Smith, who is an absolute gun, I know, but he seems to be the only one who can actually move the ball through the middle of the ground. I don't know, there just seems to be so few avenues to move the ball for the Bulldogs at the moment. And when they get it up forward, if Norton's locked down by a good defender like Sam de Koning, and if Cody Waitman keeps trying to dive his way into games, which failed on the weekend. He's been pulled up on it so many times for diving it. It's just not good to see, not good for the game. The Bulldogs don't have much forward threat at all without Josh Bruce in there as well. So whatever they had last year, it's gone. And the Bulldogs are not going to play in the finals this year, in my opinion, if they keep going the way they're going. I've been waiting for the tide to shift for the Bulldogs, but after watching them play in the flesh on Friday night, I don't think it's going to happen this year. Number 2. Marvel Stadium is cold. Obviously, there was only 6 games of football this round, so I can't talk about 9 things from every single game. But it was the first time I ever watched a football game at Marvel Stadium. And I thought because it's an indoor venue, it would be warm. They'd have heaters on and it would be all good. But no, I was sitting in an indoor stadium, arms in pockets, like this. Absolutely freezing cold. How can an indoor stadium be so cold? Riddle me that one, Marvel. Number 3. Adelaide are building a solid forward line. I've been impressed with Adelaide's players this year who just seem to pop up for a goal or a few goals every single week. And I know that they were playing against the worst team in the past decade in the 2022 West Coast Eagles, but the structure is there. You are seeing the pieces being put together for this Adelaide side. Shane McAdam has been really solid all year. I've liked watching him play. Tex Walker keeps doing what he's doing, just pops up for a few goals every single weekend. And Darcy Fogarty, he's just a B+ forward that'll be there for years to come. You got guys like Riley Thilthorpe and Ned McHenry as well, who didn't kick goals on the weekend, but I've just been impressed with how these boys have gone about it this year. They're not going to make any waves this year, the Crows, but you can just see they're getting the pieces of the puzzle and just putting them in slowly but surely. They're going to win a game here, they're going to lose a game there. It doesn't really matter. They're just trying to build the foundations. And I think this forward line is starting to look really good. It's going to be a solid forward line for their future. Number 4, Gold Coast keep chipping away. The Suns are now in 11th place, only behind Richmond and the Bulldogs on percentage. The Bulldogs do not look good, and Richmond are sort of up and down. I think Gold Coast are probably the most competitive out of those sides. The top 7, I think, is set to play finals. It's just that 8th spot, although Collingwood are looking really good as well. So I would say Collingwood finish 8th, with Richmond coming in next, and then probably Gold Coast. They've had 2 massive blowout wins in the last 2 weeks, and people haven't really been talking about Gold Coast that much. They had a massive win over the Hawks, who have been a really good side this season, and then obviously they beat a struggling North Melbourne over the weekend. But they've also beaten Freo, the Blues, and Sydney. They've had some massive scalps this year, the Gold Coast Suns. I think people are sleeping on them a little bit. I think they're better than a lot of people give them credit for, the Suns. They just keep chipping away. If they can compete every single week, they've got a pretty easy run home. They could push the top 8. I'm not backing them in to make the 8, but it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world. We are currently seeing the best Gold Coast Suns team we have seen in the franchise's history. Number 5. Manscaped are the world leaders in below-the-belt grooming. As I said, there's not 9 things to talk about this week, but I can let you know that this video is sponsored by Manscaped, who are the world's leaders in below-the-belt grooming. With their precision-engineered tools, you can have a very clean job below the belt. The Lawnmower 4.0 is the #1 electric shaver on the market. With its ceramic blade, LED light technology, it reduces the risk of nicks and cuts when grooming below the belt. Lads, I've used this and it's just, there's no issues with it at all. If you're going for the manual job, you'll get a nick or cut here and there and it's a bit dicky to use. With the Lawnmower 4.0, it's just a smooth gliding ceramic blade. You can see where you're going with the LED light. You've got 90 minutes of battery life, so you can bloody get every little hair that you want. It's so precise, so easy to use. You can finish it off using some liquid formulations, the ball deodorant and the ball toner, to make your balls look and smell good and feel good, because there is an anti-chafing ball cream also, which will help you out in that department. So head over to manscaped.com and use code Drewzy20 for free worldwide shipping and 20% off your order for any of the Manscaped products. You'll get yourself good product and you're massively helping out the Drewzy channel. Thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Let's get on with the next thing we learned. Number 6. Melbourne won't walk into a premiership. A few weeks ago, I would have said Melbourne are going to go undefeated this year and they're just going to walk through to a premiership. It's not even going to be competitive. It's going to be the same as it was last year for them in the finals. But all of a sudden, they've lost 2 games in a row at home to Freo and Sydney, and their mid to forward connection is just not there at the moment. They've got Collingwood next week, who have been very good, a very informed side. We'll get to Collingwood very soon, as well as Brisbane, I think the week after the bye. So they've got 2 massive tests coming up following 2 losses. Their forward craft has been figured out. They're a sort of turnover scoring side. They'll force you into a turnover and then hit you on the counter-attack with blistering speed, with guys like Alex Neil-Bullen and Cozzy Pickett, really setting up that counter-attack, just running into space. Bailey Fritsch, guys like that, just getting the job done. But what Sydney did very well on the weekend, and what Freo also did, is just leave like 5 or 6 players behind the ball, the defensive players, obviously, your backmen, so that when the ball does get turned over, you've got the spread covered, you've got the man-to-man covered, and then you have players that can pressure the ball carrier as well. So their forward craft has somewhat been figured out. And for whatever reason, when teams intercept the ball and gain possession, they're finding it much easier to work their way through the open side or just chip through the D's defense. For whatever reason, the D's defensive setup just isn't as solid as it has been since the start of 2021. So the season has been blown wide open, I believe. The D's are obviously still premiership favourites, but they're going to have to rediscover the form that they've had over the last year and a half or whatever it's been. And I don't think they can just keep rinsing and repeating the same system. Football is constantly evolving. Melbourne found a formula that worked. It's now been figured out. It's not like you can go back to that formula that was previously working and expect it to win you a premiership, because teams do their homework. Sydney and Freo have both figured out the Melbourne play style. So it's now up to Melbourne to evolve their formula to win games, to go win a premiership. It's a very winnable premiership for the D's this year, but they're going to have to do something that they have never done before to get it done, because they have been figured out. Number 7, Collingwood's best is as good as anyone's. To beat Freo, Carlton and Hawthorn in consecutive weeks shows me that Collingwood can compete with the best teams in the AFL. They still need to sort of gel and mature as a side just to stop like lapses that they will have in some games, like in the third quarter against Hawthorn, even though all credit to Hawthorn, but Collingwood shouldn't have given up the lead that they have. And then a few weeks ago against the Bulldogs, just like having a week off, that's the signs of an immature side, although they show up the following 3 weeks and just win every game in very good, convincing fashion, very gritty style of football that the Pies play. With the momentum going against them in the fourth quarter, they dug deep and just got the job done against the Hawks, despite only kicking 1 goal in the third quarter to Hawthorn's 4 or whatever they bloody kicked. And the Pies just dug deep, got the job done, got the 4 points to keep them in 8th spot, with Gold Coast and Richmond snapping at their heels. It was a massive win for the Pies. The Pies are learning their system week to week, but they're just an exciting side with so much quality that they can get results regardless of if they play to their system perfectly or not. But I like what Craig McRae is doing at the Pies, and Collingwood fans would be very happy with what they're seeing at the moment. Number 8. Flagmantle is a genuine possibility. Last week I said that the win against Melbourne was the best win I've seen since the 2013 prelim against the Sydney Swans. To back that up with a win against the premiership contenders in the Brisbane Lions, who have been a top side for the past 3 or 4 years, shows me that Flagmantle isn't just a meme or a funny phrase or whatever. We are genuine premiership contenders. I do not believe it. Fremantle are officially in a premiership window, and my mind is blown. Often in games we'll start slow. I think we only had 1 goal in the first quarter, and we were down by a point at half-time. But as soon as we find our feet in games, like in the third quarter against Melbourne and Brisbane, when we can sort of get on top of the contest with guys like Will Brodie, who's the literal human shovel, the way he goes about his contested ball winning. Andy Brayshaw had another 35-plus disposal game, 3 votes, genuine Brownlow medal contender. Caleb Sarong is a little fox, and David Mundy, all class. James Aish will tag anyone, do whatever the team wants for him. Once we get on top of the contest and get deep inside 50 entries, more in that sort of 30 to 25 metre arc, you have guys in there like Matt Taberner, who didn't play on the weekend, but more like Rory Lobb, Sean Darcy, who drifts forward, who will take contested marks. If they can't, the pressure will be immense from guys like Travis Collier, Sam Switkowski when he's in the side, Lockie Schultz, Michael Walters, Bailey Banfield, who kicked 4 goals on the weekend. So that's pretty much our style. Win the ball, contested, get it into our tools, and then our smalls will just pressure the opposition defenders until they win the ball and eventually snap a goal. And it's a formula that is currently working very well for us. Forward pressure is comparable to our 2013 side, where Walters, Ballantyne, and Chris Mayne, guys like that, would apply pressure, which would end up in goals. I think our ability to now nullify a team's attack is something that in 2013 we may not have had at times. Could be wrong, could be recency bias, but the goals that Brisbane kicked on the weekend were like goals that you can sort of settle with, like just mistakes and goals that would come out of chance. It wasn't like Brisbane had many opportunities where they'd just hit up a target and have a set shot, or they'd just clearly beat the Freo defenders. Zach Bailey was really the only one who we didn't have an answer for, but he's an absolute gun, genuine top 20 player in the competition. I loved watching him go about it on Sunday. But unfortunately for the Brisbane Lions, it wasn't good enough. The Dockers are flag contenders once again for the first time in a decade. Woohoo! And number 9, Fyfe has to come back as a half forward. The Fremantle midfield is humming. You can't take Brayshaw, Sarong, Mundy, Aish, or Will Brodie out of that midfield because it's working. What's not broken, don't fix it rule applies here. But along our half forward line, it's probably been the line that has been disrupted most this year. We haven't found our perfect forward balance. Bailey Banfield's played there. Neil Erasmus has played there. You've had guys like even Michael Walters, Frederick sort of play on that half forward flank. You've even had Griff Logue fill in there, and I've really liked Griff Logue up forward because he can compete in the air magnificently. But I think that is probably the spot which is going to disrupt the team the least amount. And it's crazy that the biggest problem Freo have right now is trying to fit a 2-time Brownlow medalist back into this side. I think if you played him at full forward, it would be just a bit of a waste of Fyfe's skill set because he'd be starved of the ball. You need him around the ball. So playing that Fyfe at half forward allows him to push up into the contest where needed and provide support, as well as being an aerial threat as we move the ball from the back half to the forward half, because he's one of the best contested marks in the game on his day. If we can put him in at half forward, he can push up into the contest, provide an aerial threat, link up our play from the back half to the forward half, which has been an issue at times for us this year as well. And he's a great kick, so we can set up guys like Rory Lobb, Matt Taberner and the likes. But I think half forward is the perfect spot for Nat Fyfe to fit back into this Fremantle side. So there's 9 things that I learned from round 12. But before you click off, make sure you get back here and click like to support their channel. I appreciate it greatly. Keep your eyes out on the channel for the Melbourne vlog, as well as a mid-season predictions coming soon. And I'll see you then in those videos. Thanks for watching. Take care, you plonkers.